My name is Steven Zapata. I'm a concept artist, illustrator, online art teacher, and former instructor at Art Center College of Design. I would like to introduce you to my new drawing course, Form from Imagination, a course designed to help you draw with confidence from your mind. Maybe you want to be a professional illustrator or designer, maybe you want to be a master with a pencil, or maybe you just want to be the best artist that you can be. Beautiful goals, but it's not always clear how to improve the work that you do from imagination. Over the past 6 months, I've taken all of the little eurekas, tips, and essential exercises that gave me confidence drawing from my mind and compiled them into a sequential course. We start with the absolute foundations, covering the scientific nature of light and shadow, how to hatch, how to create flat tones, how to render spheres and cubes, and step by step, we move through combined shapes, complex shapes, organic shapes. We cover how to simplify extremely complex subjects like the head into basic shapes so that you can handle them more easily from your head. We look at how to understand and treat details. And by the end of these 14 chapters with over 50 video lessons, you'll be ready to do complex designs from your mind with fidelity and energy. And all the demos are done in pencil on paper, so you can do all of the assignments even if you don't have a fancy digital art setup. But I also have demos, instructions, and modifications to the assignments for those who do want to do them digitally. Here's how it works. Go to formfromimagination.com and sign up for the course. Download the assignment book and start watching the lectures. Do the assignments at your own pace. Take your time with them and use this self-study to develop your patience. When you're done, post your assignments in the exclusive community hub, and I'll personally critique your work with drawovers, diagrams, and advice. I want you to know, this course is no joke just because it's online. It is challenging content, and it is more complete than it would be if I was teaching this class at an art college as I have before. If I was teaching this class in person at Art Center today, I would just play these videos in class, knowing full well that they're the most concise, focused, edited, step-by-step way to convey the material. So I'm serious when I say, this course isn't just a substitute for a college-level course, it's better than a college-level course. And you don't have to pay thousands of dollars per credit and wind up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. So thank you for checking out the course, thank you for watching this and for your support, and thank you for drawing and making your artwork. The world needs it. I'll see you soon. What is up? Let me just check my settings here. Summer's gonna be over soon. We'll be back to clean audio, but not yet. Can you guys hear me okay? I've got a little music in the background, fan going. Does my voice need to come up or can you hear me over everything? Hello, Lloyd, Matej, Ayub, Plexel, Veyron, Dorobo, 81, and Brew. Loving the fake loading screen? Me too, thank you. Thank my editor, Cinder, for that. He threw that together super fast. I just sent him the, I sent him a list of the loading screen tips, folder of art. He made it real fast. Sounds good to me. Yep, all good. Okay, great. Orange Fruit 9711 says, hey, Stefanos. How are things with you, Stefanos? I'm good. I am good. I'm doing A-okay. Doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes to get ready for things. Oh, finally drawn a little bit more. Just forcing in more drawing time. I'm gonna draw for a couple weeks there. Figure gesture drawing tutorial. Specifically for gestures, I don't feel the need right now. If I was gonna cover gestures in a hard tutorial, I'd probably cover it in like an overall figure drawing tutorial that covers more than just gestures, like a bigger course. I think there's a lot of really good information on gesture out there already. If you want some quick pointers for good gesture resources, I would say Steve Houston has some free videos on YouTube where he talks about the basics of gesture. I think those are great. I think those are probably all you really need to know to start. You know, gesture is just realizing that things are curved in the figure and then capturing those curves in a way that's still characteristic of the forms. You know, that's simple. And if you want a more involved exploration of gesture, you know, more detail, the Force books, which now have like a video series involved with them, which I haven't watched. I've read the book many years ago, but you get the book. It's called Force. There's a sequel that is like Gesture and Anatomy, but I've only read the first one, the Baseline Force book. That's by Mike Matesi, and those are very good. Hello, Catherine. How are you? Great weather to face the art demon. Oh God, it's happening. The humidity is getting sucked out of the air, and that's a big deal. But I'm looking at the 10-day forecast around me. We've still got, I don't know what it is in Celsius, but we've still got, there's a 95-degree day on the forecast still, you know, all the way here at the end of summer. New York does not let up. It's so goddamn hot. But we're close. I can see the cracks forming. There's the 95-degree day, and then all the way at the end of the 10-day forecast, there's some 70-degree days again. So fall is coming. Fall is coming. Unfortunately, the way New York works, we have fall and spring for 1 week, and the rest is summer and winter. Hello, Safir. Safir says, Zapata, te ves reluciente loco. I don't know what reluciente means. I'm going to assume that you're saying that I look reluctantly crazy, which is an interesting and very specific combination of emotions. Nights are cooling, though. Yeah. That's true. That's true. My dog walks, I'm feeling, oh, so comfy on my dog walks. It was so, It was so hot in my apartment like a week ago, and I went out at night to walk the dog before bed, and it was just perfect outside, to the degree that I honestly entertained, what if I just bring a sleeping bag out onto my balcony and just sleep on my balcony? Because that's way more comfortable than being inside of my apartment right now. Morning coffee. Sweet, sweet morning coffee. Hello, Doggeroni. Gabriel. Hello, Gabriel. Doamin. Hello. Mr. Sparkle. Hello. Sean D. Fitzpatrick. What's up? Miles Bloomfield. Hello, hello. Reluciente means shimmering. Ah. I see that the etymological root there would have been something like resplendent or redolent with spices. Ah. I'll remember that. Reluciente. Steven, te ves muy reluciente hoy. Fanny, mi perrita, estás muy reluciente hoy. Te voy a caminar. Hello, Varun. Hello, Board. Hello, Gary Hughes. Hello, I Nocturne. Jerry Lecor Art says, yo man, sorry to drop a bomb of a question so early, but do you have a price range of what your workshop will be so I can start saving up? I really need to buckle down on my art. A price range, yeah, I haven't decided on price yet. Basically, when I've done one month, so that's, it's a month of teaching because I get involved with the students the whole time. I hang out with them in Discord. Draw with them and stuff like that in between classes, but it's 4 class days once a week. When I've done those in the past, they've been like $850 for the month, and if I did that again, it'd probably be about the same price. I'm thinking of doing 2 times as long, doing 8 classes, doing 8 classes across a little over 2 months, because I'd have to I have some trips I have to do. So there's a couple weeks I'd have to take off. Anyway, the calendar works out that there'd be a couple weeks that we need to take off. So it'd be a little over 2 months with 8 weeks of classes. And again, a lot of contact in between. And that would just be, because the baseline of the workshops that I've done is $850. I'd probably do it for less than double that, just because people need to, I don't know, just to make it a little easier on people because they already have to commit a lot of time. So I don't know. I haven't thought about the exact price, maybe $1,500, something like that. But I have not decided yet. I really want to do I really want to try doing an 8-week, because my baseline, what the kinds of classes I took when I was in college and taught when I taught at Art Center, those are 14 weeks long. So when I think about teaching things in great detail, I sort of naturally break things out into this 14-week / 14 module structure. I know that I do that naturally because when I did the syllabus for Form from Imagination, I didn't consciously pick how many modules or how long it was going to be. I designed it out naturally, just however long it needed to be. And when it was done, it wound up being 14 modules. Exactly how I would have done as if you were meeting me for a week of class in the semesters that I'm used to. So my brain has sort of been hardwired for that. So for my independent classes that I do on my own, there's a lot of things I'd like to do on a longer time frame. So I'm trying to creep it up. So I'm thinking of trying 8, something like that. And that's a pretty classic or often used length of time for online classes. So I'd like to try an 8-week. I'd like to try a 2-month structure. Then I can get into a lot more detail about certain things. And then I can really base the class on getting the students sort of pushed over the line on finishing a significant part of a project, getting to a tight finish on something. So yeah, I'd like to try that. I don't know. All of that's flexible. I haven't decided it quite yet if the next workshop I'm gonna try to do that double or just do a 1 month. But there's a general idea of price range. Hello, Paul. Anna says, yo, I was just going over your celebrity blockheads video, about to do some drawers. Excellent, excellent. Thanks for taking the course. El curso. I Nocturne says, I am the night. Yes, you are. Wild West Sushi says, do you get coffee side effects? 2 to 3 cups a week and I can't sleep and have a pounding heart. No, my family's from Colombia, so coffee sort of actually is a necessary drug for unlocking the full potential of my genetics. If I don't drink coffee, I sort of power down into half of a conscious being. I lose a lot of my powers. But yeah, getting the coffee molecule mixed up with my physiology, you know, imagine quick cuts of like double helix DNA sort of spiraling out of control and lighting up white hot like the sun. And then I'm like sort of reliving all of my past lives. You know, I'm sacrificing people on top of pyramids. You know, I'm walking in a procession with a bunch of other Inca, things like that. Damn, James Moggan, all of you. James says, oh, I didn't know you had babies for fans, Steven. Can't handle a cup of coffee? They cannot. They cannot. Yeah, I don't get coffee side effects. I try to stop drinking before like 2 p.m. And before that, I must drink I think I drink like 16 cups of coffee before 2 p.m. every day. And as long as I stop at 2, I sleep like a baby. James, the commercial is looking sick, dog. The stuff that you've been posting on Instagram and things like that. It looks legit with the colors and everything now that you've got going on the actual scenes. It looks crazy. You guys are doing a great job. My lord says, I already had my morning coffee, Stephen. Am I required to have another one to watch stream? Yep. Don't you dare watch this without drinking coffee. This is the morning coffee stream. It's being released this week. Oh shit. Once it's just like out, like once it's been aired, can you just like link to it so people can just watch it on demand? Or do we need to just run Hulu until we get it as an ad? Will Asus or I forget who the client is, but will they just upload it to their YouTube or something? It looks awesome, man. Congratulations. All right, let's get some drawing going here. Is this James in the room with us right now? A little bit of au piquant sketching to start the day. Johnny Pearson says, at work, cleaning the floors. Get it, Johnny. Get it. Do it, Johnny. Clean those floors good, baby. Clean them like it's your art. The floor is your canvas. The waxed sheen is your pigment. Hold up. Move my mic. Why do I feel like digital art is harder than traditional? I don't get it. It definitely isn't. But some people just have, some people, you know, it's just your temperament. Your temperament aligns with one medium more than another. I find drawing in pencil easier than anything else, digital, anything. It's just, it just feels so natural. It pulls me in. I feel like I don't need to struggle to finish. It's like, when I draw in pencil, I feel like pencil drawings just finish themselves if I just hover over them for long enough. And it's not because pencil drawing is easier than every other form of drawing. It's just because me and pencil drawing are in like a very intimate relationship, and I'm like blushing looking at pencil drawing. It just really aligns with my temperament and my proclivities and preferences of all sorts. Hello, Mikolaj. Lockdown says, I just got a Wacom and I'm new to the drawing world. There's definitely a learning curve to control the pen. I'm sure it won't take long to get used to. It doesn't. Even the screenless tablets, they start to feel very natural very quickly. Have you seen the new Steam game Deadlock? Thoughts on the art direction? I heard about the leak, but I did not actually look at what the game looks like or anything. I don't know. I wouldn't I would be a little considering that the game is still in development and it seems that the person, what was it, The Verge, that The Verge shouldn't have shared that stuff. I would be very slow to assess the art direction or give a critique of that when they're still working on it, you know? Art's not final till it's final. I say that like I critique the art direction of anything on here. I don't. I never do that. I'm saying in general for people, like, if anybody else is critiquing the art direction, it's like, it's not done. If there's temporary assets and stuff like that, those temporary assets could be anything. It could be whole characters, huge aspects of the environment. Let them cook. Let them cook. James says, Steven, if you had to shit talk any artist or company, who would it be? If I had to? I mean, it's not a question of had to. I mean, I shit talk people all the time. I'm just not crazy enough to do it in public. I don't know, man. I know James is just fucking around, but I just think this stuff is interesting. Like, there's a weird... It can be me, says James. Like, there's a lot of... There's a lot of people and artists and art that I don't like. But when I think it through rationally, right? Artists are so like not valued, heavily exploited, hated by lots of people. Like there's almost no way to live a comfortable, peaceful life as an artist. It's so hard. Almost nobody can pull it off. So what good is it to, in this realm with so low stakes and the chips are already down and all that, like what good is it to bitch each other out? I struggle to be okay with that, right? Now, there's always talk and shop, right? You know, having a beer with somebody, I'm as willing to say something sucks or they should have done something a different way as anybody else. But I don't know, it's hard for me to process artists talking crap about each other when we just have such a low station in society. Like, and there's no stakes. Like, you know, people who run like companies that like everything else in the world, like you work for an insurance company, you build machines or something like that. Like everything else in life has way more stakes. Like my wife's an architect, right? Like theoretically a mistake by an architect could result in people getting hurt for real, right? A building could fall down. It doesn't even have to be as dramatic as a building falling down. If you just don't do the maintenance on the facade of a building well enough, a brick will fall off of the facade and kill somebody on the sidewalk. That happens all the time. That's a big part of her job is at her company is handling scheduled facade maintenance, right? Everything else in life has way higher stakes than art, and it feels way more important to gossip and backbite and bitch people out about those things, right? Gossip and everything sucks in general, but basically everywhere else, there's something useful that can come from saying this person's cutting corners, not taking things seriously enough, blah, 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 blah. In art, who cares? Nobody cares. And you're doing nothing. The stakes are zero in art. And people who think the stakes aren't zero are crazy. Like, you know, you're on the Helldivers Reddit and you're watching people threatening to kill people because they nerfed a digital gun or something like that. It's like the stakes are zero, absolutely zero. And because the stakes are zero, as mad as I get at people, as mad as I get at what people are doing, right? As mad as what I might get about what my peers are doing and things like that, I don't have the stomach, really, in most cases, to directly just start drama with people or complain about people or shit talk people or anything like that. Cause yeah, for all the reasons that I said, I'm just like, it's almost impossible for any artist to get it together. Like, why am I gonna hurt them in that way? And besides, if I don't do it, there's a million other thoughtless fools out there who will handle it for me, right? So. James says, when I did construction, I once dropped a pipe off the 32nd floor so you could talk shit about me. No one got hurt. Yeah, but you see, that's like, there's a situation where it makes sense to talk crap, right? Like, you know, you should, if you were prone to dropping pipes off the 32nd floor, you should get fired, and gossip might be the way to do it, right? Or you complain about the construction manager and you get them to put up netting, 10 floors up and things like that. Everything else has higher stakes with art. If there were stakes with art, I would complain, right? Like when the AI stuff happened, that was basically the only time ever that I assessed like, okay, the stakes are high enough now. And at the beginning of my AI video, I basically attack my peers, right? I don't say anyone by name, but I say explicitly that my peers are making me sick to my stomach, and that I think they're fools for whatever it was that I said. I said quite a few things at the beginning of that video, but yeah, I say that they're fools. I say that they're feeding themselves and their friends to the lions. And that was the only time. That was the only time that I ever felt the stakes were high enough and people were, they were basically going to ruin people's livelihoods for no reason and to no benefit to themselves. And they're just going to give everything away to companies. So before and after that, haven't seen anything else rise to that level. And so I don't shit talk people. And I still think that about all you clowns out there doing that. Some of those clowns were my heroes. Don't care. You're being an idiot. Yeah, you may make great art, but I've been around long enough that I'm not surprised that even the best artists are not the most thoughtful people a lot of the time. Being a great artist doesn't really say anything about how thoughtful you are. Quit it, morons. A theme I've returned to many times for drawings: ancient aliens. Good morning, Mad Morose. Gabuda Ichamuda, whose name I just love saying. I just love saying. Doing some sketching of snakes this morning, trying to learn the process of simplification and minimizing lines to speed up my process a bit. Snakes are cool, man. Fuck, man. Snakes are cool, man. Close the serpent, sly, insinuating, wove with Gordian twine his braided train, and of his fateful guile gave proof unheeded. I need to embiggen. Of course with the leaf blowers. Of course with the leaf blowers. I think it should be illegal to have leaf blowers or use them if you have less than half an acre of land. The leaf blower that's going right now, you guys probably can't hear it, but I can hear it. And it's not that bad. It drives me crazy because my neighbor across the way who's using it has a patch of grass 10 feet by 10 feet. Like you could pick them up by hand. Pick them up by hand. God damn. Gabuda says, snakes, dragons, and monsters really speak to my emotional turmoil and repressed hatred. Sorry, I find repressed hatred so funny. Been in a dark place for some time, and drawing is the only way to release it. Drawing is a sweet salve for all pain. Use it. Soak it up. Ten by 10 in New York, that guy is doing good in life? Yeah. He's clearly real proud of it. Every other day he looks out at his 10 by 10 patch and he's like, ah. Better get out here and tend to my land. Cup of coffee in hand, real proprietary stare out over this vast expanse. James says drawing is causing me so much pain. I think you're in real physical pain, James, with all the cells you've had to draw. Watch out for, what do they call? Repetitive stress injuries. Suzette says, I went to an art museum and was relatively bored there. I thought to myself, clearly I'm not an artist, so whatever. I almost failed art history class too. Well, you got to go to the right ones. I mean, like, I'm spoiled. My local art museum is the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So with that as a standard, I view art museums as hallowed halls. But yeah, when I go to other museums, ones that are a little less well-stocked, yeah, I can see how those would be a little boring if those were your standard. You got to go to the really good ones. Hi, Stephen. What are your thoughts on modern versus classical architecture? I have no real opinion myself, just curious. A lot of people hate on modern architecture. You know, there's some like Twitter accounts I can think of now that sort of make a brand out of like, our world has become so ugly, we should go back to Baroque sensibilities and things like that. And I get that. I have pretty maximalist and Baroque taste for decoration myself. But that really focuses on the worst examples of modern architecture and contemporary architecture. I mean, there's modernist buildings that are just stunning. I mean, incredibly beautiful, and that do things that a classical building could never do. And it's just, you know, lack of exposure. You just maybe haven't been to a really, really nice one. But just like anything, it's like, it really just comes down to cheap and expensive. A cheap classical building is garbage. It's shit to inhabit, shit to look at. It also looks ugly. It's not inherently beautiful. We just, looking back, we tend to think classical architecture was so much better because we only have the best examples remaining because we preserved the most stunning stuff. And when it comes to modernist architecture, cheap stuff is garbage, and expensive, high-end modernist architecture is incredible, is just beautiful. So it really is not, I don't think there's any, you can't say one's better than the other. It's just who put in a lot of work and money into doing a great design and executing on that design in either period. And that's what it comes down to. I think for a lot of people who are obsessing with stuff like that, it all, once they look through that, it's like, right, well, what does my preference come down to? And in my opinion, it is just decoration. People have a taste for decoration that is not in vogue right now. True modernism does not have any taste for decoration in its design sense. And I think that that's coming back for a lot of people. But yeah, it's not about one movement being better or worse or inherently more aesthetic or less aesthetic. It's just us in this current era. We are coming out of a period where decoration has been considered somewhat kitsch and undesirable, but people have an appetite for decoration, and now they want decoration. TK says, how are Moon and Crow? Do they still hang out together? You think I'm James Zapata. I'm Steven Zapata. Moon and Crow is James Zapata's property. It happens all the time, don't worry. There's probably 40 people watching right now who are just like, oh shit. I thought I was listening to James Zapata. I'm gonna get off here. Steven Zapata sucks. The League of Zapatas? Yeah. It's a cool name, but a very common one, actually. I can name a bunch. So there's James Zapata, who's also does concept art and illustration and stuff like that. Gabby Zapata works in VizDev at like DreamWorks and Disney. I forget where she's at right now. I don't know her personally. I just know her name. Jeff Zapata was the art director who did the designs for the Garbage Pail Kids back in the, I think it was 80s, 90s, but he's still an active artist, Jeff Zapata. And there is another, Steven Zapata, who goes by Steve Zapata, who is a technical artist at Riot. He does like lighting and things like that. He also does illustration and other things. But yeah, our websites are only one letter off. Steve Zapata will take you to his page, and Steven Zapata will take you to my page. There's a lot of Zapatas out there. Are you related? No. Steven, when you draw something like what you're creating now, how much discovery is there in the process, if at all? I'm incapable of planning a drawing, so it's all discovery for me. All discovery for me as well. All discovery for me as well. TK says, I remember John Park said at Art Center, there was like 20 other John Parks. Yeah, there's a lot of parks, because Art Center is a big magnet for Korean artists, and it's very common names. Like Park and Kim, and then when they, they all have their Korean names, but then when they how do you say that, anglicize it, they all tend to pick common English names. So like Tom, Tommy, John, things like that. So there's a lot of Tommy Kims. I know a Tommy Kim. I'm friends with a Tommy Kim. Tom Park, John Park. I think John Park works with another John Park at his school. Don't forget Steven Zapata. Yeah. What are your thoughts on, says Chris Manning, what are your thoughts on copying art to get better? It's great. Go for it. I'm in a period where I have narrowed down the things I want to draw, but struggle with drawing from imagination. As a result, I'm drawing what I want to draw, but drawing from reference. I know you talk about how you got to practice drawing the pictures you want to draw, but is this an okay practice? Anything is an okay practice. Just always do it alongside doing what you think you actually want to do. Like, the core of the practice should always be attempting what you think you want to do the way you want to do it. Let's say that when you look inside, when you assess your values, when you assess the work you really want to make, what you get to is, I want to do Renaissance style oil paintings in an indirect method, meaning that I use layers, I start in black and white, I add color layer. There is no need to put that off for 40 years. Just work it into the schedule. Say 3 times a week, I attempt an oil painting in an indirect painting method. And the 2 other days a week that I draw, however you want to split up your time, right? Anything goes. And you could do anything. You could draw cars. You could draw cars digitally. You could do stuff that's just very unrelated to the actual dream pictures. But you should never be in a period where you don't do the dream pictures the way you think you want to do them. And the thing is, it can always change. You can realize that you don't like working in a Renaissance style. You can realize that you don't want to do indirect. You can switch after 3 years of saying, actually, I don't like indirect painting. I like direct painting. I want to do everything a la prima. That's fine. Let it change. That's part of the process. But when it changes, guess what? Now that's what you do. But don't, the hard thing is that people don't dawdle. Like if you have a fire in you, if there's something you really want to try to do, don't put it off. Don't dilly-dally. There's not enough time. There isn't. You're going to be dead soon. You don't know what's going to happen. And art is insanely hard to do and insanely hard to keep up, right? Especially if you have a lot of energy for it right now. You probably, periods where you have like a lot of energy for art, like you could stay up really late and put in tons of hours, they probably only last 2 or 3 years for most people. And then you dump out on energy, life comes in, people die, kids get had, things change, right? For most people, right? There's freaks in the world. There's the occasional freak. A lot of your favorite artists are freaks of nature. But for the rest of us who aren't freaks, things change pretty fast. So if you've only got 2 or 3 years, don't waste it. Don't waste it doing stuff that isn't the thing, the actual thing you want to do. And if you don't know what it is you want to do, that's the first thing you should resolve. If you can't even begin to write down what are my dream pictures, fucking stop drawing. Stop drawing and start writing what the hell it is you actually want to do. That's priority number 1. I'm sorry, but if you don't know what kinds of pictures you want to make, priority number 1 is not drawing cubes. I hate to tell you. I'm so sorry to burst your bubble. I didn't mean to fuck up your week. I didn't. I'm trying to help here. I'm putting my hands on your shoulders. I'm giving you a gentle shake. There's a little tear in my eye. If you don't know what you want to draw, priority number 1 is not drawing cubes. Priority number 1 is being able to say what kind of art you make. And until you know that, you're wasting your fucking time. You got it. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's gonna be okay. You need to figure it out. You need to figure it out. Whatever it takes. Did you try Black Myth Wukong? No, not yet. But I'll probably try it on stream. This is not a gaming channel as much as people wish it was, but I think I really liked playing Elden Ring on here with you guys. I think I'll probably try, like, when I try a new game, I'll play like the first session on stream. We'll call the series First Try. And then you guys can just hear me confirm that, yes, this is a beautiful game. Chris Manning says, thanks a lot, Steven. That makes me feel better. All I ever do is draw what I want. I just struggle with the whole drawing from reference thing and start questioning myself on creativity. Yeah, no need to question yourself. Not so much. A little bit of questioning, not heavy question. Chris Manning says, love the stream and the course. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the course. Kaio Kusei says, I'm having trouble grappling with the value of art done for the craft's sake and not with the intent of pursuing the dream pictures. And I've certainly spent many years drawing without any intent. I am a weirdo. So I was listening to Craig Mullins on Maciej Kuciara's podcast recently. And Craig Mullins, who I considered to be about as skillful as you can get. And also it seems, I don't know Craig personally. I've never talked with him, but I've followed the rare interview and video with him for many years. He seems like a very philosophical guy. And I heard Craig on that podcast just say straight up that he sells sugar water to kids, that's what his job is. And I get where he's coming from, but I was very surprised to hear even someone like Craig describe it that way. And like I said, I don't actually know how Craig conceptualizes his art practice or anything like that, but why am I bringing this up? You can even be as skillful as Craig Mullins, as high level as Craig Mullins, and have an incredible career like Craig Mullins, right? You're never gonna have a career like Craig Mullins. He got the 0.0001% career, right? You can be even that. You can have everything and have an incredible brain and be brilliant and have skills that are just, if talent exists, that's it, just like preternaturally skillful. And you can find yourself with a framing of your practice that's like that if you just kind of let it get there, right? Now, I have to be careful here because, again, I don't know Craig, but, and I'm not saying he let it get there. I doubt someone like Craig Mullins is anything but extremely thoughtful about what he's doing, right? But my guess, I'm guessing here, is that Craig finds the experience of making pictures engaging enough that it's satisfying on its own, and that's enough for him. So he can go work on movies, or if he meant what he said, Craig is okay selling sugar water to kids because, just basic, he doesn't literally sell sugar water, but he seem to be framing it as, I do illustration, I make marketing images that convince people to buy things, right? And I understand that framing. I also have a sort of inherent value misalignment with the idea of advertising and things like that. But Craig is okay with that because he just finds making pictures deeply satisfying on their own, right? And that's enough for Craig, but it doesn't have to be enough for anybody else just because that's how it worked for someone who's like the best, right? And for a lot of people, it would be basically existentially depressing to feel that they have achieved what no one else can achieve for the sake of selling sugar water to kids, right? So if you don't sort of get a handle on yourself, if you're okay with that, then go do it, right? The world needs people like that. But if you're not okay with that, you need to get a grip on that early. You need to do not just the dream pictures, but for dream reasons, right? Like you need to control everything about your practice. And that depends on you. That depends on your temperament, right? Like for me personally, I have kinds of pictures that I want to make, but there's also a way I want to make them that is more important to me. That's the number one thing that's my number one priority with my art, right? For me, the kind of picture matters less as long as I'm doing it while being in direct communion with the one true God. I'm happy. And it really doesn't matter what the picture was. So, but again, that's another level that doesn't need to be for everybody, right? So you can really just find the doing enough, and it doesn't matter what kind of picture it is, and it doesn't matter how you make it, right? The making of the picture is enough for you. You can sell sugar water to kids, right? And that is not on a value hierarchy with any of the other things. It's a personal thing. What does your temperament need? So other people will need it to be experientially satisfying and for good reasons, right? Like you do have to care what is the kind of picture, the dream picture. And then there's people who just need everything, right? I consider myself one of the poor, cursed people who I need everything. I need to care about the kind of picture. I need it to be fun while I make it. And I need that third layer. Like I need it to be for appropriate spiritual reasons. Like basically I will not be satisfied until every possible metacognitive aspect of making art is perfected for me. And do I reasonably expect to achieve that before my death? No, I don't need it to work out, but I need to make the attempt. And as long as I tried, I'll die happy. And you know, I did it already. I could die tomorrow and, you know, give art a tearful goodbye. And I think we had a wonderful time. Like really, drawing is my oldest friend. People who've been following me, talk to me, friends, they know just like I feel like I'm in a blessed place with art where I'm like, I did it. I get to do it for very just purely fun reasons now. And I've got these other things going. I'm trying to help people, you know, I do my YouTube and things like that. But the art on its own, it's like every drawing is a blessing, a fortunate little thing that I get to do. And really, it's like if I found out I was dead tomorrow, I'd give drawing a big hug and say, you were my best friend, man. You were my best friend. You gave me everything. Thank you so much. And it's been a beautiful run, you know, you really gave me so much, and kiss goodbye and we're finished here. You know, I don't feel like I left. I see everything else that was on the table as those were experiences that could be had, but they're just experiences and none of them are inherently more valuable than the other. You know, I had a good time. But have you tried drawing with your non-dominant hand though? Yes. In my years of making art, I've tried just about everything at this point. Jard says, choosing a thing to pursue means to shut off lots of others. Have you had a time when you thought that you chose the wrong path in art? Yeah. I mean, that comes up when you're down, when you're depressed, I feel like. And I've had plenty of down periods. I don't know if I've ever had a robust feeling that I took the wrong path in art, but I've been very lucky. Yeah. It's like whenever I feel or worry that I've taken the wrong path in art, when I stop and say, all right, let's investigate, let's look inside, and again, when I say that, I mean like I'm literally stopping and investigating. I'm meditating, right? I'm closing my eyes, 20-minute timer, looking at what's emerging in the body and in the mind. And when I investigate closely, I always find that feeling that I thought I chose the wrong path in art, its core, 9 times out of 10, is jealousy and comparison to others. That's always what it's been for me. It's never just because when I've insisted over the years, to the annoyance of a lot of people in my life, on doing things my way, right? On making the odd call, being very strange, doing things that are ill-advised, too early, too late, just... You've heard the things that I say, right? The way I want to work, how I want to feel, all these things, there's just like, society does not condition for these things being smart calls to make, right? But I've been working on that for years and years and years. So that being handled, when those feelings do emerge and I check, it's always just jealousy and envy. It's always, I made the wrong call in the kind of art to pursue because artist X makes more money than me, or is more famous, or works on bigger projects than me, right? And once I see that that's what's going on, it falls apart. Because again, I'm speaking through the lens of my particular thing, right? But, for example, I'll see a peer of mine be like, whoa, I work at Blizzard now, right? Or I work at this big company, or I got this commission from this big company, right? And my gut reaction, or a protracted reaction, without scrutiny, I've let jealousy and envy build up in my heart, right? Is it should have been me, right? Which I'm sure is a feeling that you guys are all familiar with. Just like the gut knee-jerk reaction is like, it should have been me. How could they get that commission? Not me. How come Blizzard's not knocking at my door, right? And then I investigate and I remember, wait a fucking second. If Blizzard emailed me and was like, hey, do you want to do this big poster that takes, 8 months or something like that? Or you want to work on this thing, right? If I'm honest with myself and I remember who I am and my values and things like that, I'm like, I would feel cool for a second, I'd be like, all right, cool email to get. And that would last for, if I'm lucky, 4 hours. And then after that, I would immediately be like, do I really want to do this job? Does this job actually align with my temperament and the kinds of things I want to do? And now I have to go into the hole and disappear and do just this job for like 8 months and things like that. And I know that because I've gotten those emails, right? I've had the experience of getting pretty cool emails and being like, shit, I should want to do this, but deep down in my heart, I don't want to, So that is to say, it's always the unscrutinized envy and jealousy that makes me think I took all the wrong paths in art, right? It's always comparing myself to others. And if I just pause, look, remember who the hell I am, it all falls apart and it doesn't last. It all goes away. It's like outside of jealousy and comparison, what other people are doing in their careers and gut reactions to just crap that's coming up in my life. When I look at my values, I'm like, damn, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, you know? The hard part is just keeping the stomach for it when it's very low energy, you know? As an artist, doing things on your own and going your way, you're gonna spend a lot of time just, no one's knocking, no one's calling, there's no interest in you. You spend a lot of time alone working on your stuff. And it takes heart to just abide with that and to be alone and to tank all the energy on your own. It sort of makes things easier when, you know, cloudy people and companies and things like that are knocking on the door. You know, it's like a little reminder, like, all right, I'm doing okay. And it's like, that's not to disparage that. I mean, it's hard to get there, but yeah, you gotta watch out for that little part of you that's just like, somebody save me, somebody tell me everything's okay, somebody tell me I'm doing good, you know? This is all irrespective of money concerns, of course. There's plenty of things you got to do because you need cash. That's different. What if L'Oreal asked you for a shampoo commercial? I mean, that's immediately. I'd be on it right away. So it's a tug of war between jealousy and imposter syndrome? No, that's not a tug of war at all. Jealousy and imposter syndrome emerge because the brain is inclined to do that. And it's good for your health to probably develop some way to cope with that, right? It's different for different people, but you know, you need to come to make your peace with those things or understand those things. It's not a tug. If there is a tug of war, those things are on one side of the rope. And on the other side of the rope is ecstatic joy. And you should always be making sure ecstatic joy is winning the tug of war. And then maybe one day, ecstatic joy just finally pulls imposter syndrome and jealousy over the line, and they fall in the mud, and ecstatic joy hoists its hands in the air and everybody cheers. But, you know, that day may never come. You just make your peace with what arises. Weird question. How have you dealt with guilt and shame in your life as an artist? I mean, you eliminate them. Art is a beautiful thing where as I've said, the stakes are very low in art. It's very hard to hurt people with art. Nobody cares. That makes art a magical realm where you can do things that you can't do elsewhere in life, right? Like guilt and shame are semi-useful in the other parts of life because they can point you, they're often out of bounds, right? But they can point you at mistakes you've made, people you need to apologize to. They're not good if you're not apologizing or fixing mistakes, right? If the opportunity has come and gone, to make something right, there's no reason to feel guilt and shame, right? But as long as the opportunity is still there, guilt and shame can be useful, right? They can point you at things that you've done, because we're all fuck ups and you need to apologize to people. But in art, they're useless. There's no one to apologize to. There's no stakes. Art is just your little world. So there's nothing for guilt and shame. If you could cut guilt and shame off in the realm of art right now and never experience them again, that would be the best thing you can do. That would be the best thing you can do. They're useless. Obviously there's edge cases, right? Like there are people out there who, literally weaponize art, right? And use it to try to hurt other people. That's an edge case, right? In their case, yeah, their art is hurting people. They're kind of doing it to hurt people. Like they know what they're doing. For everybody else, it's irrelevant. It's just irrelevant. Oops, I knocked my camera. That looks fine. Smidgic says, thanks, Dad. I'm not your dad. I'm not your fucking dad. Don't give me that crap. Get rid of all of that. Stuff's not healthy. No dads, no gods, no masters. Bendick says, speaking of needing to make money and guilt and shame, how do you see making not safe for work art for extra income? I mean, by volume, I mean, probably I'm the only person, I'm probably the only person here. There's 215 people watching right now. I'm probably the only person here who isn't obsessed with drawing cute girls or hot guys. I'm probably the only one. By volume, sexuality is the dominating characteristic of art that is produced and the reason people make art, right? And they couch it a lot of ways about the appreciation of beauty, or the appreciation of beauty of people that you coincidentally find hot. So sexuality is just a natural, dominant, it was probably the first reason for making art, right? I mean, probably genitals or secondary sexual organs were the first things to get scrawled on a cave wall. Probably the first things, you could make a safe bet on that. And it's been with us all throughout our history. So how do I feel? And certainly it's been monetized throughout our history, right? So I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think it's gonna change. How do I feel about it? It's like I said, I'm probably the only person here who doesn't, that's not a big reason that I do art. It's just, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I don't get it, like I said, but I see all of you all doing it. So I know there must be something there. And you're not all bad people. Some of you are horrible, horrible people, but not all of you. So there's gotta be something there. But yeah, I'm probably not a good person to ask for it. As someone who is currently thumbnailing an extremely critical and hateful portrait series on celebrity culture, that really validated me. What part? When I said no dads, no gods, no masters? What part? Warrington Fieselfeet, what would you say is the reason why you're not interested in those things? I don't know, just temperament. I don't know, I've never... Art has, for some reason, never like really crossed paths with my sexuality. I don't know. I think it does for a lot of people, and it's not up to me. You know, it never did. You know, the distinction that I just laid out, I've been aware of it for a long time. So there's been occasions in my life where I've like tested it because I'm aware, like, oh, it's it. Most people, this is a big part of art for them, and it's not for me. So what's up with that? So, you know, I've given a little go at trying to do stuff that I've tried to titillate myself with my art, and it's utterly uninteresting to me. It doesn't work for me. If anything, it makes me stop drawing. Like if I try to, maybe there was more openness to it many years ago. Not really, damn, not really. Like if I try to draw a cute girl, right, I will fall asleep. If I try to sit and draw like a girl that I like, let's see if I can draw a hot girl, like a girl that I'll think, oh, she's hot. I fall asleep. I'll close the sketchbook, go do something else. Like I can't, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. I don't know why. I just have no interest in that. Steven acting like he doesn't take secret not safe for work furry commissions. Well, that'd be for cold hard cash, not for titillation. Horizon says real sexuality in art. So drawing an Among Us character with a fat ass, no pencil pickup. Everybody trying to trick me into drawing their, I know what that commission's worth. Think you're gonna get that for free? Please. You want an Among Us character with a fat ass? Email me. You're not getting it for less than 4K, for the record. Think I fell off a turnip cart yesterday? Please. Jard says, thanks, James Zapata. I'll be back in the next one. That's funny. People confuse me with James Zapata all the time. It's no big, it's happened to me in person. Now that's awkward. There have been people that I've been hanging out with for like a couple hours. And I'm like, ah, you think I'm James Zapata? That's awkward, to be like in the room, like in a room with somebody and realize they've thought you were a different person the whole time. That's a delicious kind of awkward. It's happened enough times that when people I don't know, when I meet them and they say, whoa, big fan, I'm always like, thank you. And in my head, I'm like, on contingency, until like I assume like you might think I'm James Zapata. So I'll take that big fan and on contingency until I confirm that you know which Zapata I am. Thoughts on Black Myth Wukong? I have not played it, but we'll probably play it on stream. I'm sure I'll try it because I've been excited for it. I've just been really busy. I've been excited for it. I think it looks great. I play games for the aesthetic, so I'm sure. Whoops. I'm sure we will try it. I just don't know when. But when I try it, I'll probably try it on the channel. I'll do the first session on here. I was supposed to have Omar coming over to help me with some stuff. I think he might be asleep. So you have time for monkey business? That's funny. That's real funny. Oh, I'm laughing. Mazubi says, oh my God, I'm drawing right now. What a coincidence. Huge coincidence. Huge coincidence. Hi, Steve. What's the motivation for someone to start learning how to draw today with AI around and all? I don't know what's going to happen with markets and things like that, but drawing is not, for some people, it's a means to an end, but that's not what it is in reality. Drawing is a spiritual practice, or at least it can be if you open your heart to it. And it's not just spiritual. The drawing journey will change the way that you actually perceive the world. And that is a reason, if you're interested in stuff like that, that's a reason in and of itself. It's got nothing to do with money or markets or end products or anything like that. But you can literally change the way that you see, the way that you feel things. Drawing is actually the rare, complete path where it can utterly transform your entire life on par with any other spiritual practice, prayer, meditation, anything like that. Drawing can take you all the way. It can get you all the way to, there is a punchline at the end of art. There is a secret at the end of art sitting there waiting to completely transform your life. It can take you all the way there as a complete path if you open your heart to it. And at the same time, while it does it, and this is the benefit that it has over something like meditation or prayer, you can get good enough at something you can make a living off of it. So that makes it pretty unique. Makes it pretty unique as far as complete paths go. There's other complete paths, you know, like music and things like that. The arts are, there's a lot of them, but it's different from the stuff that doesn't build a skill at the same time. What coffee are you drinking, Steven? Just supermarket brand stuff. As a New Yorker, I grew up with a lot of diners around. So diner coffee defines my taste in coffee. That is to say, weak, eminently drinkable. It's like volume. Weak enough that you can just drink tons and tons and tons. And it's burnt, little burnt. Doesn't taste good. Not inherently good coffee. Stephen, would you consider drawing a form of alchemy then? It's whatever you can frame it however you want. I mean, you could say it's meditation, you could say it's alchemy, you could say it's prayer. Art is so structureless, it can take whatever form you would like. If alchemy is what tickles your brain, it's alchemy. But drawing is not to be pinned down. Mikolash says, at the end of art, you can move objects with only with thought and see through people's souls. Mm-hmm. Who invented perspective? Someone did. It's probably linear perspective is probably one of those things that, kind of like natural selection and other big discoveries. It's one of those things that was probably discovered by a few people right at the same time. Because it was sort of overdetermined, like culture starting insisting on it being discovered. And so multiple people at the same time would have triangulated on that need and come up with it. But there's a first manual on it, a Renaissance era manual. You can still find, if you go on like Google Books or whatever, you can just read a whole copy of like the first printed explanation of how linear perspective works. It's very old. And it's all basically all there. Everything, it hasn't changed. Andres says, Steven, why would I buy your course? If you have to ask, I've already got you. I already have you in my grips. You're just circling the drain now. It won't be long until you get the course. Till you get the course. Till you get the course. It won't be long now. Till you get the course. I took that opportunity to stretch real quick. Eugen says, what's your opinion on abstract art? Just letting yourself loose and immerse yourself in your lines without thinking of the end result. Yeah, people ask pretty often what my opinion is on abstract art. And I don't know, even asking that reeks of this online drawing person community where people often have a pretty negative opinion of abstract art or dunk on it and things like that. I grew up in New York, so I've been surrounded by avant-garde art my whole life, and I can personally confirm that just like anything else, there's good and bad. Like, I don't really, if that's of interest to you, just make it. Just go for it. I don't want to sound mean, but it's like all the people who say like, oh, abstract art is nothing, you know, it's stupid, my kid could have made that. Like, that whole attitude is just like, it's hard not to sound mean, but it's just like, ugh, I can't even let the words out of my mouth. You sound so stupid, baby. Like, you sound so stupid. It just comes off really like, okay, all right. Like, bro. It really reeks of someone who has never been to a museum. You know, it's not the section of the museum I spend my time in, right? But if you just have been exposed to enough, you have to be an idiot to not see that there's great performance art, abstract art, experimental art, modern art. Like, it's, I don't know how to say it in some nice way. It reeks of lack of exposure and being high. I don't have a lot of nice things to say about those people. I'll leave it at that. And there's a lot of, unfortunately, you know, that pits me against a lot of, you know, well-respected people. But as I've said, being a great artist, unfortunately, says nothing about how thoughtful you are. I've seen a lot of really, really great painters stick their neck out to make embarrassing, dogmatic and philosophical claims about the entire corpus of abstract and experimental art. And every now and then I'm just like, damn, I hope they took that video down. Like, I hope they realize they sound like a fucking idiot. It all is so, oh my God, it reeks of insecurity and projection. I won't name names, but there's people who've made long essays and videos and things like that, trying to, you know, it has the energy of like freshman year academic, like, all right, this is your final paper for this class, right? It has the same level of erudition and thoughtfulness as something that's not even going to get vetted by anybody else. And you can see right through it. You can sum it up as just, I'm upset that these people make more money than I do. And it's like, baby, I know you're hurt. Let it go. It's not about them. I know you're very mad that Damien Hirst is richer than you. And yes, you're very good at painting. It's not about you. It's not about you. And it's not about Damien Hirst either. Chill. Jesus Christ. Grobart says, are you sketching for a specific project or are you just warming up? I'm not really doing anything. It's not for a specific project. I don't consider it a warm-up either. I'm just doing my drawing for the day. Kyo Kuse says, what are your thoughts on the subject of energy and prioritizing art when the rest of your day saps most of it? I work a 9-to-5 corporate office job daydreaming about going home to art, only to have no real energy to invest in the practice. What is the value of art done whilst one cannot really commit themselves to a practice enough to actually reap the joy and benefits of it? It's do it in the morning and don't get too in your head about it and philosophical about it until you've done it in the morning. I used to work a 9-to-5 art job where I would go in 9 to 5 and do nothing but art all day. And I was still frustrated because I would say I need to do my own art when I get home. And I'd get home too tired from doing my corporate art job to do my own work when I got home. So what I did is I said, I just wake up at 4 a.m. now and I do 2 hours of my own stuff before my art job. If you haven't tried that first, don't get too philosophical about all this. Do that first and then start asking bigger, airier questions about it. It's like if you're thinking of prioritizing it, prioritize it, as in do it first. Hello, JG. Kyokusei says, I've done that and enjoyed it actually. See? I'm not sure why I don't commit to it. Maybe you should. Maybe I don't like mornings and can't help getting philosophical. Anyways, thank you. You can switch enough time. I was a real night person my whole life until I started living with my wife, and it took a while, but now I am fully a morning person. So you can, even if you're a real night owl by temperament, you can, it can take a lot, but you can switch it. Now I can't. I mean, you got to understand, I was a real 3 a.m. kind of guy for drawing. And now I'm like, I can't stay up past 11. And my happiest moments of like my energy for drawing is now like 6 a.m. to 12, you know? Ever seen the 80s movie Excalibur? This piece makes me think of that for some reason. The movie's weird AF in a good way. I have not, but I've seen screenshots from it before, and I remember seeing it and thinking, I gotta watch that. That reminds me, I should watch that. You guys don't even realize how impressive it is that I just drew that reverse 3/4 without reference. That's the sad part. You guys aren't even skillful enough and knowledgeable enough to be impressed. How fucked up is that? God damn, I truly am completely isolated by the level of my skill. Nobody's ever gonna understand me. Thoughts on the mullet mustache trend? I don't know. Let the kids get up to whatever they're gonna get up to. They're fine. It always just comes down to whatever the other generations refuse to accept could possibly be fashionable. That's what's fashionable. And then that's what creates the fashion cycles, because then those people grow up, the things they rebelled against, they're like, well, those are things that couldn't possibly be fashionable. And then the generations younger than them go, guess that's what we do. There's some sort of inherent sapient cycle there that is just part of life, I think. Reverse 3/4 man looks like Alan Watts. Nice. A tribute to Alan in every drawing. I have to take these. Doodling anything specific? Silver? Oh, you're talking to someone else. This is why we are here, Steven, to try and catch up with your level. Good luck. Anselmi says, say Mr. Zapata, I've got taken in the Fine Art School of Paris 2 months ago, and since you're my most prominent inspiration since I started on the art journey, I want to say thank you. You're the GOAT. Dude, congratulations. Man, going to a fine art school in Paris, that's gotta be nice. Now that's classy. Enjoy your life. Have a good time with it. Always keep it fun. Never lose the fun if you're making art. Whew, it's getting hot in New York. It's getting hot, baby. Girl Bard says, I draw every day, but it seems that as of recent, I don't improve at all. I don't feel burnt out, but I'm not sure if I might just be numb to it. It's actually, plateaus are totally normal. It's just part of the process. I think a lot of people get really upset about plateauing for a while. And it's just another one of those gates, you know, gates to greatness. The people who got really, really, really good at drawing, they all abided plateaus. That doesn't mean you do nothing about them. You know, that doesn't mean you don't redouble your efforts or think creatively or things like that. But plateaus are real. They're not under your control. And the only real way they mess you up in the long run is if they make you quit. Just don't quit. Eventually you push through, naturally. Just a time function. Things need to change in your life. Other people would let a plateau make them drop out. You don't quit. You do the emotional work to get through it, to stick with it. You do the life work to maintain the practice, even when things are not improving that well and life is getting hard, either financially or just with time obligations and things like that. That is the true work of many masters. Not letting their worries, their emotions, their life situations make them quit. That is so much of the real work. Some people have it easy. Easy lives, secure financial situations, constant progress, just because that's what their physiology does. But that's not everybody, and it's certainly not all the masters. If you're one of those lucky people, appreciate your blessings, but most of us are not that, so we have other work to do. Steady ourselves. Control our fears, control our emotions, control our lives. And if you feel like that's unfair, that's another thing that needs to be overcome. The unfairness would make others quit. And if you want to do what you want to do, you need to be unaffected by the unfairness. Cyanide says, thanks for posting videos like you should be excited to draw. Currently going through a rough patch in the enjoyment phase and it's very helpful. Happy to help. Akabaton says, I don't know if I've accepted that unfairness or just got too tired to complain in my head. Either might be fine. MH says hi, first time catching live. What up? What up? Congrats on catching live. We've been going for a couple hours here and I'm getting hungry and I've got someone dropping by to help me with some stuff. So I'm gonna start signing off here. I'll go for a little longer. Gabuda says, is it true that at some point you must hate the process of art making in order to love doing it? No. There's lots of people who have loved making art through their entire journey. That's not a requirement, of course. Some people just need to go on a journey. But yeah, it's definitely not the case that you need to hate the process. That's a ridiculous, evil thing to say. We're on the way, Bugaboo, says Omar. All right. In that case, I'm going to definitely start signing off. I got to do a little cleanup. See if anyone has any last questions. I'm going to get off in a couple minutes. So I'll see who I get to. Gorbard says, does someone at your level still practice art fundamentals? Yes, but I've sort of, in a different way. Like for me, that's one of the things that I liked about teaching. You know, I was like, I see the value in always practicing the fundamentals, but it was clear to me at a certain point, like there's a synergy there where I can practice them / keep them in mind, deepen my understanding of them by just beginning a teaching practice, which I think is essential. I think it's, you know, this is just my opinion, but others may disagree with me, but I believe teaching is a required part of the path to mastery. I don't think anyone gets to the level of master without teaching. And I think that if anyone who does, which is pretty rare, I think that it's clear that even though they're at the level of mastery, if they taught, they'd get better. So I think for art, teaching is a required part on the path to mastery once you're on a really high level. And one of the reasons for that is that it keeps you connecting with the fundamentals. So that's how I do it now. I've been doing this for a long time, but for example, with my course, Form for Imagination, I do feedback for that very often, right? Every week. And a lot of the times I'm doing feedback multiple days a week, at least one day a week, depending on what the feedback load is. But so that means that even though I'm running all this other stuff in my art practice, and I've been doing this for a long time, I'm basically not drawing from scratch, but I'm editing, painting over, correcting spheres, cubes, cylinders every week, right? So I'm in constant contact with the fundamentals. So there's a synergy there. I don't draw spheres on my own anymore, right? But I had to when I made the course, but beyond that, it's like I'm still looking at and assessing and being thoughtful about spheres every week, even though I've been doing this for a long time. Here's our doodle for today. Delicious morning coffee. Zepto says, hi, Stephen, I want to tell you simply looking at your pencil work has improved mine. That's fantastic. I'm happy to hear it. Aka says, hi, Stephen, sorry this is a repost. I'm trying to learn drawing from imagination, the natural looking poses and dynamic angles. Any tips? Thank you. Natural looking poses comes down to drawing. In my opinion, it comes down to drawing real people in real places. That's always going to be the ground floor for natural. So you don't even have to go to a cafe. Like, just draw your family or your roommates, whoever's around. If they feel uncomfortable with that, have a long, painful conversation with them where you tell them, look, you're going to have to get comfortable. All right. And yeah, just do that all the time. I did that for very long time. Whenever I was back in my college years, whenever I was visiting my family, I was always compulsively drawing them. I wasn't trying to make it look like them. I was just always sitting around drawing them when they were on the couch, sitting around doing tasks. I'd be in the car drawing them. Yeah, just always take your sketchbook everywhere. Draw people at the mall, at the beach, anywhere, and it'll help you get a real grasp for the subtlety of real poses. I used to do a lot of work in that was really helpful for me in a practical sense for a long time, because I used to do a lot of work in the theme park industry, and a big part of those drawings is you need to put people in them, lots of people. You can't really show any sketches where the place looks empty, because the energy feels all off. It always needs to feel like this is the most successful place ever, not just a theme park, but you're drawing a museum show, a themed experience, a restaurant, anything, any sketches that are going external, anything. If you're showing your art director, it can be empty, but anything that goes to a client, there's got to be people in it. It's got to feel like this place is successful, people are showing up, or else the energy's all off. So you had to draw a lot of people acting very natural, looking happy, just normal people enjoying a place, no matter how crazy the place was. So drawing those natural poses was hugely practical for me. And yeah, I learned that all just by, and that made me pay attention, right? That made me go out and do a lot of drawing people just at restaurants, things like that. Dynamic angles, that comes down to that even if you draw Like if you find references of people in really dramatic camera angles, some people make reference packs like that. I personally have found that the reality of dynamic angles when captured by photograph is not good. It's like, because that's how a camera sees, and our eye never sees that way. You know, we have foliated vision. Is that what it's called, foliated vision? Where no matter how intense the distortions are, we're only ever focusing on one tiny part of the visual field, which makes everything feel more natural. When you compare that with what you get trying to recreate dynamic angles in cameras, it's not actually what you're looking for. The basis for dynamic angles is understanding perspective in general, which can get quite technical, but like for figures in perspective in dynamic angles, it doesn't really need to be super technical, but a light understanding of what's happening with a wide camera angle, you know, how things are calmer in the center and they get more and more distorted as they go out. That's the basis of it. And then the rest, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think is a private like language taken from other artists, right? Looking at the people who work with dynamic angles, copying them. People who do crazy dynamic angles in comic books and things like that. I actually don't think that language of dynamic angles is captured in anything else. I don't think photos show it. I don't even think you can technically draft your way with tight perspective to that. I really don't. I don't think you could, for example, what's a really technical, a technical perspective drawing method like Scott Robertson's How to Draw. I really don't think that could ever teach you, or I don't think you could ever use that to draw dynamic figures in really intense perspective, like the One Punch Man manga or something like that, like what Yusuke Murata is doing in there, in the more push stuff, right? In the really dramatic stuff. I don't think any perspective system can actually get you there. It falls apart. It doesn't, and it's intractable. It's by definition outside of the cone of vision. Again, we're talking technical perspective stuff, right? It's by definition outside of the cone of vision, and things that are outside of the cone of vision are almost impossible to draft. The drafting gets too confusing. It makes it untenable to get out to your vanishing points. It makes it difficult to understand what lines are going where. That language of intense perspective is much more natural, and it's much more based on what the masters have done. Jack Kirby, the Yusuke Muratas of the world, things like that. You look at them, you see what works for them, you build on that language, you contribute to it. I have never seen a good case for it coming from a technical method. You need to look at the people who have made it work, and you learn from them. Ryan Gutierrez says, "Hi Steve, cool to see you again." Hello Ryan. Been a pro for years, but guys like you and Dan have really inspired me to start my own channel. Fantastic. We'll go for it. I'm happy to have provided any little bits of inspiration. Would you have skeletal remains for reference in your house? I have a few skulls around, not real skulls. Well, a few real animal skulls. This alligator head is a real preserved alligator head, but I used to have like some rat skulls and mole skulls. I lost them when I moved, but like real human remains, some people have those, but there's no drawing benefit between having a real human skull and like a plaster human skull or just a plastic recreation. There's no degree of subtlety there that is going to contribute to your drawings, I don't think. I've been to cadaver classes with real preserved bodies with the musculature and all that. I've had the good luck to be able to do that, which if you ever get a chance to do that experience, I think that's a very good thing to do for any artist. It can be rare to set it up. You usually need to take a class that specifically offers that as part of the class. But those were very profound experiences for me. Actually being with a real body, being able to look at the musculature, the way that it really looks. I mean, you know, it's preserved, right? So it's not filled with water and bulbous the way that it is in real life, but seeing the raw facts of musculature, how they intersect and overlap and all that. That was profound stuff. I would recommend that for anybody. What is that, a real class? Sounds dope. Yeah, I mean, I got to do it with my anatomy teacher, Ray Bustos, who was a great, great anatomist. But, and I did it, I think I did it twice. It's a long time ago now, but I think I did it twice because I TA'd his class for years afterwards. So I got to hear, I got to, when I was TAing the class and they went to do it, I got to go with them. But did you ever go to Body World? Yes. But yeah, any experience like that is very good. All right, everybody. I've got to run. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for drawing, if you were drawing along. And I will see you all again very soon. I'll probably draw again tomorrow on here. Who knows? Maybe we'll play Black Myth Wukong tonight. Maybe we'll do it tonight. We'll see. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Peace. Goodbye to Goodbye to Goodbye to Zorp. Goodbye to Eugene. Raban. Goodbye to Oslo. If you find med students, you can ask them. Yeah, that's how I got into one of those. Yeah, I was saying, like, you know, usually you have to take a class, but actually, yeah, if you have some connections, there are ways you can, you know, get in there. Just be very respectful. God damn you all, be very respectful. That was someone's body, that was them. Be very respectful. You appreciate it if you get to do something like that. That's a mystical experience as far as I'm concerned. Especially for artists, I think that's a special thing for artists. Goodbye to Oslo, goodbye to fictional key art. Goodbye to Oniargraphist. Goodbye to Lorenzo Lopez. Goodbye to Decaf Back. Goodbye to Snoge. Samiku. Boxer Wing 1970. Board Doggeroni. Two of Lawn. Mustafa Ahmed. Goodbye. Goodbye to Reynola Dominguez. Goodbye to Cursed Fetus. Eugene Rabong. Miles Bloomfield. And everybody else who was here. Peace, everybody.